Next up, we're in actually round 3 of the winner bracket. It is Zlo versus Bulldozer Noob, but with yet another Cybern symmetrical matchup. I don't know why everyone is picking Cybern versus Cybern. I think that is probably because people are picking symmetrical matches out of respect, so nobody goes Aeon and just dominates through the OP Auroras. But it is kind of odd to see so many Cybern symmetricals that's not in a dedicated Cybern tournament. The map is hollow. Both of these guys are in the elite tier of players in excess of 1800 ladder score. The both of them 2000 for Zlo, 1800 global for a Bulldozer Noob. Looks like we got first land factory for both of these guys. Let's take a look at the map. Called Hollow. There are multiple immense patches of reclaim in 4 locations on the map. These guys are 10 mass rocks, looking like a total of around 500 mass on the small patch, and maybe somewhere in the vicinity of, well, it might be closer to 600. It's hard to estimate the amount of rocks like that. And then we've got a scattering of 5 mass rocks all around some of these other mountains, though not all of them, it would appear. Okay, so on the bases, we've got 3 mexes that are very close to the ACU within the build range, so you can kind of work those into your early queue. Then we've got 2 more on the outside edges. This means that this map, though it be small, is a potential for a techer. You could theoretically run, 10 to 15 land factories and overcome with T1 spam, or if you can keep yourself alive versus your opponent doing that, you could drop a T2 mechs at the start, a T2 HQ very quickly, rock out with some rhinos, and you'll be in a good spot. Although I would definitely go at least 5 or 6 land factories so that you have enough T1 spam to hold map control while you try to get some reclaim. We got 2 land factories for the opening on Bulldozer Noob. That is going to be a Hunter running in for the raiding party, coming in from Zlo. I don't think I have ever seen Zlo not build a Hunter. That might be literally the case. I have even seen him play on 20-kilometer maps where he built Hunters. And it's kind of absurd and also kind of awesome because it is close as we'll probably ever get to a trademark move in Supreme Commander. Little bit of micro on the NGs, trying to keep those things alive as multiple Mantis come on target and eliminate that lab before it is able to get either engineer to critical HP. We've also got another Hunter to the north that's going to be headed off by a Mantis in the past, though with Zlo's micro, we might see a Hunter come out on top versus even a Mantis. Looks like we've got the air factory online for Zlo. That may have been second air, but I'm not going to swear by it. I'm not sure whether it was second or third, but either way, he has a bomber that is getting out across to the other base. That is going to be an Inti first for Bulldozer, but I don't know that he'll be able to shoot that bomber down before it has horribly dire consequences for his build. We've got first bomb out on an engineer on that side. Second bomb is going to be on the expansioneer going for the reclaim on this side. Although it is going to take it a minute for that bomber to circle around. Not an exceptionally great amount of micro, although he may just be pulling all the way over to the edge in an effort to snipe off any expansioneers on this side. 1 interceptor on task, and that is going to be an elimination. However, Zlo is going to fall in behind that Inti. The vet is going to help it be a little bit more survivable, but I think that with that early shot, yes, Zlo's Inti is going to come out the victor. So we're now 2 Intis up with an engineer bombed out. Hunter is going to be able to knock out that engineer before the Mantis can kill it, and that is the end of the expansioneer to the north for Bulldozer. Over on the right-hand side of the map, let's look at a little bit the same story for Zlo. Radar range on that scout, picked up the engineer. Mantis is going to move into the kill, of course. Engineers stand much less of a chance versus a Mantis than they do versus a lab, although I have seen them come out on the surviving end due to a strategically placed wall section to soak damage and some reclaim, but that is definitely the exception to the rule and not the rule itself. Looks like Zlo is going to be moving his ACU forward. That's going to be a... well... no, he's moving up to claim this mass extractor and then get some reclaim in the center. Though it is not marked, there are a crap load of boulders in the middle worth 5 mass each, so you definitely want to get those. The ACU is supplemented by an engineer, which is going to build a mass extractor and then a radar in the center. Because you have multiple avenues of access, you do not want to put your ACU out in the middle without some kind of intel, because then you will get pincered and killed, and that is not a good way to go. Mantis up in the base. Unfortunately, not very long to live. Why is Zlo not getting his reclaim in the base? Holy cow. I did not even realize that that was there. We've got 2 clumps of trees, 1 clump of rocks. Bully Dozer has gotten his rocks, which is probably why he is ahead in score despite being behind in eco. He's also reclaimed the entirety of his far patch of rocks and over half of his close patch. Zlo has barely bitten in to his close patch, and his far patch has not been touched. So Zlo is at a pretty massive mass deficit right now. 2K behind in score. I can only think of what that is indicative of. I can actually click and find out because we're in the live replay and not in observers. So that's going to be 1,600 reclaim, pushing 1,700 for Bully Dozer Noob. And that is going to be compared to 800 for Zlo. So more than double, well, about double now. About double the reclaim in for Bully Dozer, and that is going to be about 20 tanks worth of reclaim difference, if I am counting that right. 17 to 20 tanks that he is going to be able to field in superior numbers to Zlo's forces. Lots of Mantis up on the north. Zlo getting ready to move in for a little bit of raiding. Not a lot to raid up here, to be honest, but he might be able to make some headway. Who knows? Air fight on the south side is going to come out in favor of Bully Dozer by about 5 inties in number. So that's going to give him an opportunity to build a few more bombers than he might have otherwise been able to, or to just pause his air factory and use that power for some other things. Looks like Bully Dozer is going to back up, even though he has a superior number of troops. Zlo dedicating a few more up to the north side as he builds a land factory dead in the center to attack, move some engineers out, and get this reclaim. Bully Dozer doing essentially the same thing. And we've also got a good-sized troop movement for Zlo to the south. Now, I'm not sure that he will actually be able to make any headway, seeing as he is going to have to pull some reserve units over to this edge. But if he does choose to move, he might be able to kill off some mass extractors. Definitely these two over here. Mantis are going to stall just a little bit. Zlo going into full reaction mode on defense there. Zlo now seeing the ACU moving up in the center. He is going to move to engage with his own commander to prevent that mechs from falling. Zlo does have enough units to defend. He just has to get them in the right position. Let's go ahead. And people are saying, are there more color friendly? I think that since I'm in observers, I am not going to be able... I cannot alter the colors. I'm sorry, guys. Can't do it. That's going to be a mass extractor falling for Zlo because he put his units in the wrong area. So he's going to have to be careful. This raiding party could gain access to the back edge of his base. I think he has more total units. Oh, now they're blue and red because of the... 68 plus 5, so we're going to call that 75 land units for Zlo, and only 60 for Bully Dozer. So if we were to speculate about a land fight, I would say that Zlo definitely comes out ahead. In exchange for that, Bully Dozer has an early T2 mechs that Zlo has not even attempted yet, though he is going to go for an energy storage to make his ACU a bit more combat capable. You gotta love terrain, guys. That is the best raiding party. The most epic raiding party. They're running into battle with all of their fervor, trying as best they can. But it's not gonna matter. Sigh. On the engagement in the center, both ACUs trying to meet shield and both expertly microing so that their shots are connecting with enemy tanks and not with the enemy ACUs trying to gain the advantage through meat shielding. Zlo, due to having a slightly superior number of units, I do believe, is going to come out ahead. He's also retreating in order to draw those tanks out in front so that he can fire on the incoming units, with Bully Dozer not able to exchange fire with as many of his tanks. Zlo looked really good just a moment ago, but with more units moving in, it is going to get a tad sketchier. He's going to move out of range, engage with all of these tanks with the ACU. A beautiful overcharge on no less than 6 units, evening up this fight to a huge degree and being able to push Bully Dozer back. Just that may have been worth the energy storage. That, folks, is why you need to abuse overcharge. That kind of pick is a lovely thing indeed. We got 2 Mantas in the base trying to go after Power Generator. Might succeed. No, will not even succeed in killing 1, but will kill off a couple of engineers. Zlo still has not reclaimed all of his rocks in the base. He is moving up here. I think that the Control-Shift key on his keyboard may be broken, one or both of them, because he apparently is not capable of evaluating the map for hidden reclaim deposits. But it is a brilliant thing to see that he's able to maintain a somewhat level playing field despite being several hundred mass behind in reclaim. Of course, that is going to even up now that he is biting into all of this mass in the center battlefield. Zlo at 3,300 reclaim, 3,000 for Bully Dozer, so he's actually now ahead. Lo and behold, he don't need no rocks. He's a strong, independent Zlo that can rely entirely on his own battle-tested ingenuity. Although that has been known to fail some people now and again. Both of these ACUs starting to look a little worse for wear now that they've been in combat for a while. Looks like Zlo is focusing on the enemy ACU for once. It would appear that his APM is being directed elsewhere, but he's trying to pull a snatch on the ACU. He is still able to sustain with that commander if he gets it oriented correctly, but the longer he focuses on Bully Dozer, the worse off he is going to be. He may be going for a mutual, but that would be an unwise thing to ask for when you are totally in a position to win this fight. Bully Dozer pressing the advantage on Zlo. It looks like he is going to lock in for either a draw or a win, trying to lay in some damage while he is still able. Zlo dipping down into the range where a mutual is guaranteed. You got to get below 2,500. Oh dear, Bully Dozer committing a little too much. 3,200 HP on 700 opposing. The question is, 1 overcharge from death, 350 HP on Zlo's commander. As that comes out, wow. Bully Dozer, I'm sure, overcommitting because he knows that if he loses this reclaim, Zlo is going to be victorious without a shadow of a doubt due to all the mass that he had in his pockets. But good God, that was a close call. He was 1 overcharge away from being able to KO that commander. And I don't know whether it was a power deficit that prevented him from reaching it, or whether his overcharge was on cooldown. Whatever the case may be, Zlo survives by 350 HP. Zlo, yes, rocking 1 veterancy, though I think that he had that vet for quite some time, as had Bully. They had the same total HP values on their commander. That is the kind of game I love to watch. Both players fighting over map control, both players showing El Primo builds, although Zoc definitely should reevaluate, or not Zoc, sorry, Zlo should definitely reevaluate his life choices on leaving mass all over the map that is not reclaimed, because that was just a shameful display, I think. But well played in the end. Very, very well played indeed. Next up, we're in round 4 of the winners bracket. We've got Obfuscation, otherwise known as Blow Deer, versus Stay Be Nice, otherwise known as Mad Mozart. Why these people have to keep changing their names, I will never figure out. And why they have to keep doing Symmetrical Cybern, I will also never figure out, unless there's some kind of behind-the-scenes dealing where everyone has agreed that the first round of the tournament qualifiers are going to be entirely Cybern, and the second round entirely UEF, and the third round entirely... well, you get the point. I don't know. At this point, I am too scared to ask. The map is Point of Reach version 4, and this is an exceptionally difficult map to play. You'll notice that there are lots of tree clumps, not very many, if any, rocks to reclaim. So you're going to be kind of out of luck if you're looking for an early boost to your income. Both of these guys are going for first land, second air, which is totally normal because you are going to want lots and lots of air, and many a transport shall be shuttled across this map over the course of this game. That's essentially what your raiding parties consist of, and you have to get your expansions as quickly as you possibly can. Usually the meta is to walk your ACU to this island and drop either this island or this island. These three are obviously closer together and therefore easier to protect, but if you can get raiding parties out to both islands, a lot of times you'll see these contested. And sometimes you'll see one player coming out with 4 islands and the other with 2, and that can end very badly for the person on the short end of that stick. Stay Be Nice walking in a little bit more. He's gonna have to correct. There was a stupid tree clump in the middle of that, which denied his air factory for a precious few seconds. And those of you who do very tight builds on maps like this that depend upon your ability to get engineers across the map, you know that those few seconds can be incredibly critical. We've also got one of the busiest buddies of engineers that has ever been running out to this side. He is going to be building a naval factory, 3 mass extractors and a radar, followed by 2 more mass extractors and another radar, with a total queue length of approximately 6 minutes and 40 seconds. That is an ambitious son of a gun, if ever I have seen one. Obfuscation already loading up the transport with engineers and lifting them over to the far side of the map, and that is going to guarantee his position on that edge. I do not believe that anything, well, hold on. We got 5 engineers. Oh, dearie, dearie me. We're going to have a contest. 5 engineers versus 4 engineers. One landing slightly sooner than the other. That is going to be an interesting fight indeed. Kind of depends on how quickly the first land factory can go down and build an artillery to wipe out the other group of engineers. We've got engineers expanding over to this side, land factory going down on this edge with multiple mass extractors out into the expansion islands. On Blow Deer's side, we've got a second air factory going down at a critical level of power. He is going to have to build quite a few P-gens to make that work out, but it is going to guarantee him some early air domination. Stay Be Nice going a bit more conservative with his power build. Well, yes, conservative in the respect that he is building more power. But he is going to be a little bit later getting to his air factory. The drop has been made. The factory is behind. That is not an especially great thing, although Obfuscation is going to build up 4 T1 mass extractors, which will pay for themselves roughly 18 seconds into the future from when he built them. And the 2 factories are up, up, and away. Though these engineers are not now building anything. We've got labs out on both sides. Second land factory going down, but of course with 5 engineers assisting, this is effectively 2.25 factories worth of production Those labs are going to make it in versus the enemy engineers, and it is not going to be pretty. Maybe the reclaim can assist. There goes a lab. There goes the last engineer. And now we need Mantis to make ends meet, but the Mantis is over on that edge. So Obfuscation is going to completely lose out on his expansion, though he is going to come out ahead on Mass. And all in all, this could be a really bad situation for him. Although, he now has 3 Hunters versus a single Mantis. I'm sorry, 1 Hunter versus a half HP Mantis. 1 Mantis full HP. Well, how did he end up getting ahead on this? I don't know. That is odd. But he's not really going to be able to buy himself enough space to go for an engineer. So it looks like he's just going to kind of sit back, let that thing persist as long as possible to hopefully stall his enemy out for a bit. No, he is now queuing. Okay, so he completely neglected to put that factory on repeat. That's the answer. ACU popping out of the water to grab these mass extractors. He's going to be a tiny, tiny bit slower than his opponent claiming that expansion. However, with the amount of air that he's been able to build from those 2 air factories, he has completely and utterly dominated the air game. There is, however, a slight bomber problem on this side. That bomber is going to loop around and potentially kill all 6 engineers in one pass. And no, it is not, though it is going to get 1. T1 anti-air turret going down to try and deny that, as the engineers shift to be able to deny 1 bomb, killing literally everything. If this comes online, he should be in good shape. There it is. Here comes the shots, taking that son of a diddly down. But not before another bomb is laid in, taking both the radar and an engineer. Interceptors moving back across, that is going to protect that, and a counter bomber from Obfuscation is going to do a marvelous job indeed of preventing the further expansion on this side of the map for Staby Nice. So he's going to get a precious few mass extractors and then pretty much be doomed to, well, yeah, trying to get either a drop or a walk over to that edge. Taking a look at the total map, looks like Obfuscation is quite a bit ahead. He is going to be in a power stall, but 500 power up with roughly 45 to 50 income. We're going to call it 50 based on the stall. So 50 and 500 versus 460 and 45. Although it looks like Staby Nice is really struggling both in the power proposition and in his ability to spend his mass. So he's going to be building power with, oh my goodness, 25 total build power, which is going to drastically drain his reserves, but it will get him more power generators more quickly, I suppose, which is going to translate directly into more air production later. But in the meantime, with that air domination, Obfuscation is bombing everything to crap, and that is not good at all. The only good thing we do have happening for Staby Nice is this naval factory that is about to go down to a frigate. If he can get the naval denial on this side, it is going to work out pretty dang well for him, because he's already got 3 frigates on the map. That is going to force Obfuscation into a T2 air factory to recover, because he simply does not have enough scattered build power to be able to bring Navy online against those odds. Though he is going to get a naval factory up on this side, which is the only place that that Staby Nice is not putting a frigate. If this frigate had been over on this side, this may have turned out entirely differently. Oh my goodness, that clutch! 1 second before the factory goes down, that frigate makes it out. We had multiple pauses on factories to make that happen, but that is going to mean that this frigate's going to die, possibly taking 2 mass extractors with it. But Bloateer does have a naval unit in the water. Will wonders never cease? We've got another bomber perfectly positioned on this side to take out the engineers. And it looks like, yes, that transport has been pulled back on site. Lots of interceptors, lots of bombers over on this edge. But we do have a total island control in place for Mozart on this forward position. That's going to let him stream some engineers down to the south and hopefully stand a chance of reclaiming that island. What I want you to look at, though, is the amount of purple versus the amount of blue. In air, there is more purple. In land, there is more purple. In total mass extractors and islands claimed, there is more purple. And that is not exactly a situation that you want to be in. Looks like Mozart has gone for 4 T2 mass extractor upgrades, which is a bit odd considering his situation, but holy cow, Obfuscation is going for a T3. I don't know that that was intentional. I think that that may have been a mistake because he is both power and mass stalled. Although with that T2 power generator coming online, he is going to be able to float it to some degree. Why on earth he's opting for an in-base T3 mechs over core upgrades to T2s in various other areas, I do not know. But it may have something to do with his perceived advantage in maintaining control of this island. I do understand that these are more easily rated, but the cost to benefit ratio is simply absurd, especially when you have a T2 mechs available here and here that are not easily accessible from the water. Actually, I take it back. There may be enough of a dip in that a frigate here could raid that one. But this one is definitely safe. I don't know. Oh well. I am sure that he has some kind of plan with this. He is a 2000 rated player after all, but I am kind of failing to see what it is. I guess that maybe my eco-whoring ways are a bit too much at the moment, considering that I typically play in team games. Oh, snap! No! Ha! Obfuscation did it on accident. I called it. Epic T3 mechs by surprise. Oh my goodness. Well, the pain will hopefully be worth the effort because he is now 99 to 91 income with an extremely stable core base income. That is going to be very difficult for his opponent to kill. We're gonna look at the positives on this. We are going to look at the positives because there is always a silver lining to the cloud. So with this monumental production of mobile anti-air, that is going to bring the air game at least a bit closer. Obfuscation, I think, slightly behind on his interceptor count still. Looks like 16 Inties, 5 Torp bombers versus 27 Inties. That's actually a bit further behind than I thought he was. That's going to be double the Inti count. Maybe the meat shield from the Torps can work, but Statey Nice is obviously going to be increasing his air production as much as possible, running 5 factories currently, because he knows that if he does not get air control, he will not be in control of Navy for long, barring a T2 upgrade and cruisers coming out. Although, as a Cybern player, probably not the best idea because Cybern cruisers are the most sucky in this kind of situation. Look at the air production that is coming in now, though. That is a hugely assisted T2 air factory just spitting interceptors out into the world as a gunship is now being produced that will be able to raid the land targets as effectively as those torpedo bombers are doing in some of the naval targets. I do want to point out that Obfuscation is now behind on mass production, 118 to 101, thanks in large part to the T2 mass extractors coming online in the core base for Mozart. So we're probably going to see... Oh, no. You just played yourself, fool. That is the spot where your storage is supposed to go. Sigh. And Obfuscation now at 134 income. due to his own T2 mass extractors coming online. So I guess that we're just going to be trading blows back and forth as we go. Frigate AA is often an underestimated thing. Torpedo bomber versus 5 frigates loses hands down. Torpedo bomber versus 2 frigates, probably going to die, but probably going to kill 1 frigate and then do massive damage to the other. Once you start getting into like 3 to 4 frigate territory, probably don't want to send in less than 2 to 3 torp bombers. It's an odd thing. You don't usually think about frigate AA in team games, especially because you're kind of in this position where it's such a plinky amount of damage. Maybe it'll knock down a T1 bomber, but who cares? But man, in 1 versus 1, it can make a massive difference even in air fights. I love the Wagner's obfuscation dropping a T2 land factory over on his forward island position. That is going to be pushing tanks directly into the home base of Mozart. And that is going to get scouted. For sure, but it might be a difficult thing to deal with. Who really knows? We'll have to see how it plays out in the not-so-distant future. 6 naval factories online in the middle of the map. That is going to be a huge amount of naval production, but we do have a lot of heavily assisted naval factories around the map. It's a little bit more difficult to get a read on exactly how much is going on. So we've got 3, 4... 5, 6, 7, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, sorry. 6 plus 1 is 7, plus 1 is 8. So there is a superior amount of naval production on Mozart's side, not counting the amount of assistance that is on Obfuscation's factories, and also the fact that we are 75% to a T2 factory. I think overall, Obfuscation is long-term winning Navy, but short-term, it's a little bit more difficult to call because the actual number of frigates on the map is higher for Mozart. Look at this huge swarm of interceptors. At this point, it would be well worth, yes, a Burstmaster flak being made available to provide a bit of air denial. This Wagner moving up past. Oh my goodness. It's on attack move order and it's prioritizing T1 anti-air turrets. Why are you this way? Why must you do these things? Although, these do a surprising amount of damage. Let's be real. It's going to take about 17 shots to kill that factory. My goodness. The longer this game goes on, the farther ahead Obfuscation is going to be in naval production. And while the local amount of frigates may not favor him, let's actually take a count. On Navy, so 6 Wagners, that's pretty freaking cool. 19 frigates versus 22 frigates. Holy cow. That is a pretty distinct advantage, although our first destroyer just hit the field, so now we've got long-range bombardment capabilities, and that will make life significantly more difficult. Transport is going to get shot down just before it's able to drop its payload of engineers, and I'm actually seeing a buildup of Corsairs on the left-hand side. That is probably going to be used for a power snipe. That's usually the best thing to target with those. Unfortunately, was not able to get the T2 mass extractor with that Wagner, though he would have been able to had he retargeted it. Wagners are going to maintain control of the expansion island, though, and generally be a pain in the butt all over the place. Stay Be Nice now up to 156 income, Obfuscation at 186, and something to note about Blowdeer. He does do exceptionally well on larger maps and is a to-the-core eco-whore, even though this T3 Mex was unintentional. So we're going to start seeing a pretty significant mass lead from him as the game goes on, I feel like, because he does tend to prioritize that eco growth. Frigates moving in on the Salems. That is not going to be a good sign, because as these move in, they're going to take away the only advantage that the Salem has. Frigates outdo it both in damage and in HP per mass. You have to kite. The destroyer's strength is its range, but thankfully Mozart was not paying attention to the area and did not move up with that destroyer. So now we've got 2 destroyers that should be able to kite out and do a significant amount of damage. Corsairs coming in. Power generator outside the shields. Shield going down. The flak is going to make a huge difference on this, but that power generator is still going to be toasty fried. And that is going to kill... Oh! He tried to get the shield upgrade in time. He was 99% on that to get a fresh shield bubble. And those Corsairs wrecked the P-Gen, killing off all of the stuff in here. And then wasting that secondary shield dome. That is a shame to see indeed. But even though he lost a lot of build power, he does have a half HP T2 power generator. He's also trying to get some T1 point defense online. ACU out in place with a couple of frigates to try and eliminate Wagners as they come ashore. That was an expertly played base raid by Obfuscation, knocking down Mozart several pegs. Good lord. That is super bad. Looks like we've got drops headed out as well. T2 transport carrying a lot of Medusas. We've got 5 additional T1 air factories on the side island. That is going to give Mozart some potential for getting back in the air game, but his loss is just so heavy right now. We've also got a drop on the front line. Wagner coupled with a group of Medusas wiping out every single mass extractor on the front, more than capable of taking out the point defense and moving into the base, though these NGs are going to slow it down. I would not be surprised in the slightest if Mozart were to take the Control K route right about now. He's got 3 cruisers and 1 Salem versus 3 Salems, technically a win for Mozart if he micros well. But with another destroyer coming out from the back, I don't think that that is going to be the case. He is going to have to pump out as many destroyers as he can, as quickly as he can, and hope that those cruisers don't overkill to a massive degree any number of torpedo bombers that come his way. Looks like the frigates have now locked down the shoreline. The T1 point defense is in range for those to fire on, and they are also going to be able to lay in hits on any units exiting the air factories in the home base. This blockade is going to be a brutal thing to get rid of indeed. Over on the other side, we've got a T2 support factory upgrade coming in. That's going to mean more destroyers from more angles on Mozart's quadrants of the map. And I don't think that this is going to end well. We have got 3 destroyers alive versus 2 cruisers, 1 destroyer. If they focus fire to take out an additional destroyer, and they might be able to do a small amount of good. Bear in mind that the cruiser does more than 50% of the damage of a destroyer from range. However, once you close in to the torpedo range on the cyber destroyers, you're getting an extra, what, 100-ish damage off torpedoes. So the destroyer ends up being significantly stronger once you get into range. It's not so bad if you're kiting out and microing, doing good damage, and dodging a lot of shots, but man, it can turn bad in a hurry once you close in. Lots of frigates headed into the build power. Obfuscation now knows where the majority of the build power lies for Mozart's navy. He's also going to be able to tag out some of the mexes on this island. Wagner, available over on this side, could also take a mass extractor on that edge. That is going to be a group of T2 artillery built adjacent to the power generator for a bit higher firing cycle. Going to be able to eliminate the frigates on this side, should he get a shield over them, might deny a little bit of a push from the Salems on this edge. But long term, that is a huge mass investment. I don't know that he will be able to sustain. And we're also about to see the complete and utter devastation of the Navy by obfuscation. Blodier, I think, has got this match made. He's also got a T3 air factory completed, which is going to produce engineers for T3 power, and then I think shortly some strat bombers to further harass Mozart's position. I don't think that even the Cybern strat bomber has enough range to hit all 4 mexes at once on this, but it can definitely hit 2. So as those strat bombers come across the map, that is going to cause some pretty extreme damage to Mozart's base. Looks like on interceptor count, obfuscation may have totally sacrificed. No, he didn't. He's still got 63 inties there just in his base versus a total of 72 for Mozart. So Mozart's actually been able to pull ahead in air production in total. However, the Navy game long term is going to be more important. Cybern Cruiser knocking out those torps as they pass over, but that is more than enough torpedoes to one-shot that cruiser, only able to take out 2 to 3 torpedo bombers on the pass. Interceptors coming in to clean up those torps before they do more damage though, and we've got T2 subs building in response to the overwhelming number of frigates. T2 subs actually a fairly viable option versus frigates, and good for stealthy raiding. However, they do lose mass for mass to Cybern destroyers in a battle. So you don't want to sink too much mass into those. They will end up screwing you over long term when your opponent already has a lead in destroyer count. That is going to be 4 destroyers pulling up with about a dozen frigates. Not at all something good for the health of Mozart's Navy. He is, however, going to bring in his own torpedo bombers, which might make up the difference, seeing as there are no cruisers in play for obfuscation. Though do remember that the Cybern anti-air overall is quite strong, so you do not want to underestimate that in play. Lots of anti-air on the island. That is going to be a bit advantageous for an engagement for Mozart, but he failed to make a clean turn. Lost about 4 interceptors to a destroyer there, is going to get waylaid by Blodier's interceptors here. Although Blodier had lots of out-of-fuel inties at the last second, that is going to be an air sweep in favor of Mozart, coming back in to clean up the ones that are out of fuel. Utter air domination in play, and just in time for a strat bomber to start coming across the map. We have got to see a T2 air factory shift to T3, otherwise Mozart is going to fall behind as more ASF come into play. Obfuscation careful to keep his ASF at the rear. This is going to be the first sighting of a strat bomber. In comes the bomb, and I was completely wrong. All 4 mass extractors can die to a single strat, as long as it is Cybern with that massive AoE. That was a tremendous gut-wrenching punch to Mozart's economy. That's gonna be, my goodness, 36 mass going poof in the blink of an eye, with another 36 right here. That was a roughly 60 mass dip with 1 Cybern strat bomber. Holy hell. And this, guys, is exactly why. And he ground fired the same position again to eliminate the wrecks. This is exactly why I heavily disagree with the balance change that brought the Cybern strat bomber into play to this degree. They did not buff the damage, but they nerfed T2 Mech's HP in a balance patch, well, now many moons ago. And there is no other strat bomber that can do that kind of damage. Cybern before traded large AoE and, well, okay, they traded a small amount of the damage on their strat for stealth and large AoE. That's how I meant to phrase that. And in return, they were the only faction who could not one-shot a T2 mechs. And when they changed the HP on the mass extractors, it changed Cybern strats from being arguably the strongest late game because of the stealth and AoE versus T3 and T2 units, and a middling strat bomber in the early game that suffered the critical weakness of not being able to one-shot a T2 mechs. In my mind, a good trade-off. It went to being by far the strongest strat bomber because of its ability to do this. All right, so what has happened now is the live replay has frozen, which means that 5 minutes in the future, the game has ended. Sometimes it is not able to recover to actually play out to the end. But I think that looking at how this map is set up now, we're about to have an air engagement over here. We've got about 10-ish ASF versus that many inties. We probably got a air loss for obfuscation, which he will quickly recover from. He's got the strat, which knocked out 60 some odd eco before it, actually it is still alive, never mind. 60 some odd eco and a total naval win coming into play for Bloateer. I believe that Bloateer has won this one. Let me go and check the brackets just to make sure. Yes, Bloateer has secured the victory. So we are just going to end this replay here. Well played to both of these guys. That was some ferocious back and forth. I think at the end of it all, though, Bloateer contesting on this side and being able to take all of his expansions without being contested too much, and then doing some incredibly effective raiding at all stages of the game through drops, through bomber manipulation, all of the stuff that goes into playing a solid 20k map. Bloateer is just showing off how strong of a player he is in large and late games. Well played indeed. That is gonna wrap everything up for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, feel free to drop a like and share it with someone. If you want to support the channel, catch the streams, or join the Discord, check out the links in the description. Thank you all for being at least partially insane, and I will see you in the next one.